Hi everyone, it's Hannah Ross. Welcome back to my channel. So today is such a big video. This is a video that I wish I had when I was starting out with minimalism. It is going to be my beginner's guide to minimalism, or how to become a minimalist in 2022. I think starting something new and challenging yourself to do something completely different, whether that be minimalism or a new workout routine, a new eating regime, it can take so much just to get started. People typically just follow the same patterns of behaviors as they're used to in the past, so shifting that and making a big change is such a huge step. And the word that comes to mind when you're starting anything new to me is overwhelm. It is so easy to get overwhelmed when you are at the beginning stages of any process, even if you're working a new job. And I think that having a few tangible and theoretical tips and tricks right at the beginning stage can hopefully, and this is what the point of this video is, hopefully just make you slightly more inclined to continue with these changes. So my friends, I am so excited to get into this video. Let's get it started. The first thing I want you guys to think about is why you want to become a minimalist. This is an absolutely fundamental question that can shape your minimalism path. You might want to save money. You might want a more simplified life. You may want to shatter or break some of those consumer cycles. You might even just want to be more sustainable. Whatever it is that is pulling you towards this intrigue, what is making you curious about minimalism? And I'll give you a quick example. For me, it started with money. So saving money was the first reason why I got interested in minimalism in general. And that kind of helped me focus where I wanted to go, so I could look up resources on YouTube of how to save money, how can minimalism benefit you financially. I looked myself at my own finances and dug really deep into that area, because that at the beginning of my journey was my number one, my primary why. So there's no wrong answer to this. It's just being really honest with yourself and asking, why am I so gosh darn curious about this concept, about this way of living? Okay, so now we're coming at it from a practical perspective. And that practical tip is to take inventory over what you already have. This is gonna look different for some people. Some people are going to be really involved and they might count things. Some people just need to go and walk through their home. I would suggest, if you are beginning, walk through your home, open every closet, open all those cupboards, nooks and crannies, and really start to mentally take note of everything that you have and where it is all taking up space currently in the place that you're residing. Another great part of taking inventory is it can lead you to these other places. So maybe you have a storage unit that you haven't thought about in the past 5 years. This is a good exercise to actually start thinking about that storage unit. Maybe even if it's possible, go take a trip to that storage unit, see what's inside, and look at what you have for what it is. This isn't an area to pass judgment on yourself. This is simply just staring what you have currently in the face. Taking inventory is definitely a good place to start as a beginner. Another very practical tip is to stop putting yourself in these tempting positions. So by that I mean getting off these mailing lists. So you know when you have your emails bombarded with every sale that you've ever known for every store on the planet, go through and physically delete yourself off of those mailing lists and reduce that temptation. Secondly, try not to go just browsing. At least for me, even after all these years as a minimalist, this is one of the most dangerous, not dangerous, but something that could prevent me from keeping on this minimalist path. It can divert me very, very easily is by just browsing. So going out and shopping with no intention, I would strongly suggest to eliminate or significantly reduce just shopping for the fun of it. So avoiding that temptation is definitely a really practical tip that is excellent for beginners. Not gonna lie, it's good for people that are well on their way too, but it is certainly a beginner tip as well. Okay, we are back to another theoretical tip, and this one is about items specifically. Ask yourself why you own this item. Do you own it for emotional reasons? Do you own it because it's an absolute necessity? Is it a nice to have? Is it even a luxury in your home? Is it a just in case item? I want you to start potentially creating certain categories and recognizing how these items enter your home, and more importantly, why they stay. So for instance, if you have a sentimental box, I have plenty. I am a very sentimental person, by the way. So I have like a very sentimental box with a lot of meaningful items. I can point to that box and know that 100% of what is in there is all emotionally driven. It's all in my life and has stayed in my life for emotional purposes. And try not to label these as good or bad. Having emotions and being a human and wanting to keep things because of that isn't a good thing or a bad thing. It's just more so recognizing these categories. You might start to find that you have some standout categories that you have a lot more of than you thought. Like for instance, you're a very much just in case person and you have a lot of supplementary items that you really don't use very frequently, but you hold on to just in case. Start experimenting and picking up an item and saying, okay, well, this is a toothbrush. It's obviously a necessity. So asking yourself what category or why you have these items is definitely a good beginner tip to start your minimalism journey. Next up is a practical concept, and that is to focus on the ratio of things coming into your house and going out of your house. I would actually suggest to start just limiting what is actually coming into your home. That means that you can potentially break this cycle of accumulation. So that feeling when you're home and things are just building up and up and up and you're like, why? How is that humanly possible? I would start by just reducing what is coming in, because decluttering and getting your stuff out of the home, I think, is actually a little bit more advanced. It can come with a whole host of emotions. It can be very complicated, and it can definitely be an overwhelming process. A super effective way to do this is focus on the products that you have at home and start using them up. So super easy example, you have plenty of shampoos and conditioners at home. You have so many to go through. Even if you see something that's really alluring and you want to try a new brand, new kind, maybe you can focus on actually just using up what you have already and consciously making that effort to work through the stuff within your home before you seek any outside sources. So trying to not have things start to accumulate in your life by reducing what is coming in to your living space is definitely a really practical tip for beginners. The next thing I have to talk about is also a theoretical concept, and this is identifying as early as possible what your largest obstacles are going to be on this journey. You might just not have the time, quite frankly. You might really want to do this, your motivation is there, but you don't have the time. You might be someone who is lacking in the motivation department and you just can't seem to start this process. You might have a family of 4 and the thought of minimalism and trying to adopt this for your entire family seems like the most impossible thing on planet Earth. You might be quite emotional and have a lot of emotional connection to these items and really want to hang on to them for sentimental reasons or otherwise. And by the way, I don't mean emotional in a bad sense. Like I said, no labels here. It's much more about just like connecting with yourself and really understanding who you are, you know, peeling one layer of the onion back and just saying like, yes, I definitely am someone who is quite emotional when it comes to, you know, items, consumer goods. You might not think you have the mental bandwidth to go through with this change. You might be someone who is extremely hesitant towards change, and this lifestyle alter might be throwing you off a little bit. So definitely take a little bit of time to clearly consider and formulate what your largest, biggest obstacle is. What is the highest hurdle that you have to jump over? Because you can start your journey with that idea in mind. So for instance, if you just don't have the time, if you are someone who is extremely busy and you absolutely don't have the time, even just starting some baby steps of your minimalism journey might seem so time consuming that it is overwhelming and you're not gonna start it. So you might actually need to do something like schedule it, actually put it into a calendar and schedule the start of this process. That's just a really small example and workaround, but whatever that obstacle is for you, keep it in the back of your mind and start to formulate your own strategies, either to overcome and hop over that obstacle, or maybe you need a workaround. Figuring out what the biggest thing in your way is definitely a good start to this minimalism journey. Next up is a really practical tip, and I would actually say this is one of the easier ones, and that is to start thinking about multiple uses for products that you already own. So this is something that takes a little bit of bandwidth, a little bit of mental energy, but you can start to question these products that you already have and say, oh, okay, this does thing A, maybe I can extend its life a little bit and get it to do thing B as well. I am going to highlight an easy area in which to do so, and that is cleaning products. I find that many cleaning products are so much more multi-purpose than they even advertise to be. I'm someone who uses like a lot of natural cleaners, so even you might be able to pull something from your kitchen that can act as a really great cleaning product for your home. Stuff like vinegar, baking soda, lemon, you know, acidity, those can all be used as cleaners around your house. And I'm just on the example train, so I'm gonna keep going. A hair straightener, okay? I use my hair straightener to both straighten my hair and curl my hair. I used to have curling irons, and I just figured a straightener could do everything that I needed it to do. So I experimented a little bit, found a system that worked, and now I only use a straightener to, you know, style my hair into these cute little curls. So start digging around through what you already have and seeing if anything could have another use, and if you are sitting on some multi-purpose items in your home. So the next question I would suggest posing to yourself if you are a beginner is asking, what is your most attainable space to start? And I'm talking spaces around your home. So is the kitchen the easiest area for you to start? The bathrooms, or one bathroom in particular? Is it the bedroom? Is it the basement? Is it the storage space that you have outside the home? The garage, the back deck? What is the most attainable space that you could start a decluttering process? And alternatively, the flip side to this could be, depending on your personality, what is the space of biggest impact? So some people are going to want to start small and want to start with the most attainable space, but there are others who would much prefer to just tackle the area that's really getting to them, tackle the area that's going to have the biggest impact. For instance, if your kitchen is a disaster and you never want to be in there, you never want to cook, and it is just always chaotic in the kitchen, and that is an area that if you felt like you could start this minimalism journey and this decluttering path, that it would provide you a lot of impact, aka cooking from home more frequently, having a more organized pantry, potentially saving money on groceries, feeling very good and secure coming into your kitchen with good energy as opposed to a chaotic mess. Even though the kitchen might be one of your biggest areas to tackle, it might be your first choice. For For someone like me, that is not my strategy or method at all. Personally, I am a baby step kind of person, so I am going to go in with the most attainable space. I think for me it was my wardrobe, if I'm not mistaken. It's been so long that I kind of forgot, but the wardrobe was an area that I was like, okay, I can categorize this, I can do this, and I can start my minimalism journey and this decluttering process in my wardrobe fairly easily. So whatever way you want to go about it, just find your first space, whether that be the most attainable or the most impactful space. Find what it is and get started there. So we are going to touch on decluttering, and the next thing I want to talk about is a practical tip related to decluttering. But I don't want this to get misconstrued. I don't want to tell you all to start going out and decluttering your homes and getting rid of 99% of your stuff. That does work for some people, but I am going to start with a very, very baby first step of decluttering. And some of the items that I would suggest decluttering first are items that are quite literally garbage. So items that should get removed from the house. Items that you have been meaning to dispose of, sell, remove from your life for quite some time. Most people have a few items in the back of their mind that they're like, oh, I have a meaning to sell that lawnmower for the past 5 years. So those would be a good place to start. And the third category would be items that used to have a purpose but do not anymore. Let's say you have a family and you used to use baby strollers, but the kids are older and there's no need for those baby strollers anymore. You could get rid of those items. Another example is, like a furniture item that you used to have in an old apartment that does not fit the new living space that you're in. That could potentially be something that you could look at selling, donating, disposing of. So just maybe even start with one single item that's no longer serving you, that you used to use and you don't anymore. Something that has seen its life cycle in your home, and see how it makes you feel by getting rid of that item. So just starting the decluttering process and kind of skimming off the top. That's how I like to see it, is just, skim off the top, grab those things that you kind of were already thinking of, and yeah, start from there. And finally, the last tip is going to be something that is actionable, and that is to start the selling process. So start to research what platforms you want to use to sell your items. Maybe it's Facebook Marketplace, maybe it's Craigslist, maybe it's Kijiji. Depending on where you are in the world, you might have other services available to you as well. And I would suggest by literally just starting with one item. It can feel overwhelming to start, but the feeling of getting something tangible back from starting this process is a feeling that I want a beginner on their minimalist journey to have. So just start by initiating that process, potentially selling just one item, and see how it feels. See if you catch the bug. I certainly did, but it took me a while to get started. Of course, there are so many other ways to pass on items. You could donate, find women's shelters. You can do a whole host of things. Some things need to be recycled. Some things actually just need to go in the garbage. Some things you can give to family and friends. I'm not saying that you absolutely need to sell, but if that is something that you wanted from this minimalism experience, maybe if one of your huge factors that you want to consider is financial, maybe money is a big aspect, getting some return on your original investment is absolutely something I want you to experience at the beginning of your minimalism journey. So start your selling, see how it feels, and who knows, maybe you will get into a little bit of a rhythm. All right, my friends, well, that was it. That was my beginner's guide to minimalism and to becoming a minimalist in 2022. I don't know what it was about this video, but I guess it brought me back to kind of where I started as well. And I have a smile on my face because I wish I knew all of this starting my journey. So I really do hope that it was inspirational to at least one person out there and you found this video valuable. So if you did enjoy my video, please feel free to give it a like. And if you like me, if you like my content in general, definitely consider subscribing. I will be posting a lot more minimalism content in the months to come. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel and spending even a small part of your day here with me. Truly means the world to me. All right, everyone, bye for now, and I really hope to catch you in my next video. Bye.